7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hi, and welcome to the Marketing Essentials podcast. Our unique team helps small businesses grow by providing essential marketing expertise.
Hello and welcome to the Marketing Essentials podcast. My name is Bill Parmentier of W. Parmentier Photography.
I'm Alicia Piazza with Custom Marketing Solutions.
And I'm Justin Kerr with Justin Kerr Design.
And together we make up
the Marketing Essentials team.
And you notice I didn't do that because I was playing around with the knob, but that's okay. We're going to go with it anyway.
Yes, go
Here
with
I am
it.
playing with the volume control because something seemed off to me.
Okay.
Anyway.
All right, Bill, our tech guy.
Yeah, that's what happens when you let me do tech.
So
Scary
today,
stuff.
here is the Marketing Essentials team.
Yes.
We are here to talk about marketing trends that we predict you will see in 2019 and a little bit about how you can implement these into your business.
So we're putting on our Swami hats today going.
Yeah.
That's right. We're getting on our crystal ball and
Yes.
predicting what we're going to see more of in 2019.
I got to get that envelope and put it against my head for those over. No.
So,
I'm sorry. Alicia's like, what are you talking about? It's an old Johnny Carson skit. Sorry.
oh man, you guys and your old school references. You
Well, I guess it's better than
She's just
calling
going
us
to
a
start
stove.
referring to us as Waldorf and Statler.
don't even know what that
Get
is.
up.
Oh my God. All right.
Muppet Show. The two old men in the...
Oh, I love them. That was their names?
Yes, Waldorf and Statler.
Yeah.
Oh, how did I not know that?
I
They're
don't
actually, the names are names of two very old hotels in New
Yes.
York.
Oh, I know Waldorf. Yeah, the Waldorf
and
and
the Statler was the
Hotel.
other one.
Yep.
All right, so I'm looking into my marketing crystal ball here, and I see three particular trends for local businesses. So just to give you a little bit of background with Custom Marketing Solutions, I specialize in social media marketing, work a lot with local businesses, and even though, social media is huge for us, just some overall digital stuff that I see happening. So the first one is, and you guys probably are familiar with this, Google My Business page. It's been around for a really long time, but I really think Google has recently made some changes in 2018, 2017, and I really think in 2019 we'll start to see even more changes for the Google My Business page. Specifically.
So what particularly do you see?
Yeah, so specifically, what's already changed is Google is giving way more weight to reviews on Google My Business pages. There's now a feature, I don't know, have you guys seen this? If you go to a Google My Business page, as a viewer, you can actually type in a question about the business, and the business can answer, or other consumers can answer. So it's kind of like an interactive form right there on your Google My Business page.
Does that show up in the app too? I have the app and I'm not sure if I've seen it.
Possibly. Go to a page with a lot of activity, like a popular restaurant, because the more popular the page, the more questions the pages are likely to get. There's also other features. Google has enabled a feature where consumers can actually text you right through your Google business page.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's like the theme of it is really that instant connection. People want answers, and they want the right answers now. Like, they don't want to wait. And so Google My Business page is going to be rolling out a lot of these new features that are going to allow businesses to have connections with consumers right on that page. So instead of like, here's a link to the website, go to the website for more information. Here's a map to find it. Like, you're not going to have to leave the Google My Business app as much to interact with that business. You can also post like sales and specials now on your Google My Business page. You can see product features, things like that. So it's a much more robust. Google My Business page has been around for a long, long time, but I feel like it kind of was one of those things you set it up and then you forget it.
Yeah, I did that with mine for a while.
Does this fold into? Does this help your SEO for your website?
Yes, absolutely. So ways to implement this for 2019 is just really start. If you've set up your Google My Business, go back and just start adding in like specials, promotions, like the holidays are coming up. Make sure you have your holiday hours on there if you have any holiday specials or sales. And as you start to just kind of like utilize Google My Business more, you're going to see it'll affect your rankings, number one. And you'll start to get more familiar with the features that are there and as they roll out. So it's good to just get started and get used to the tool.
Wow. I wasn't even aware of Google My Business page. No, I mean, I used to have a Google Plus account, but I know that's dead.
No, that's different. That's different. You could actually get an app that will track all that for you. It's called Google Business, I think it's called.
Really?
Yeah.
And it'll give you all the analytics of your website and the whole nine yards. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
One more thing to look at, right?
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
One more thing. So, on to the next trend that I see happening is chatbots. So in the same nature of having that kind of instant connection on Google My Business page, chatbots allow for instant conversation to happen between a consumer and your business, and they can be installed on your website. So kind of like a live chat, but it's automated, or it can be installed via your Facebook Messenger.
Now, I know we've talked about the bots before, and we've talked about the difference between having this automated bot and it can carry your customers so far, but at some point you have to turn them over to a real human being. So is the AI going to continue to improve so that the automation is going to carry them further into that funnel, or?
I think for a basic business bot, I don't know if the AI will come into play as much as say a bot like some of the bigger bots out there, like Siri is a bot. Google Home is technically a bot, and they're
Alexa.
Alexa's another one.
Okay.
So,
but how does this work, say,
for
on
a local
someone's for a local business?
Yeah. So going back to consumers want answers and they want them now. Just kind of look at the basic questions. We're already seeing a lot more messages come into business pages, and the funny thing is that it's usually questions that can be answered if the consumer went to the website, but people apparently don't want to read anymore. So they just say, oh, what are your hours? Do you have a menu? Do you guys do this type of service? And it's well, if you just read the website. But instead, they'll just message the Facebook page. And so consumers want answers, and they want them now. So if you go back to the common messages you get, it could be your FAQ page, a little bit of that, or it could be the messages that your Facebook page is getting, and automate that. So when someone messages the page and they say, I'm interested in learning more about, your reservations for parties or something, let's say it's a restaurant again, the bot can pop up and say, it can pick up on keywords. You can program it like that, or you can have the bot pop up with a pre-automated menu. Are you interested in our menus? Are you interested in our reservations for parties? Are you interested in our hours? And then the consumer can just click, and it can redirect them to a website landing page or give them the information they need.
So basically anything that's tedious that you'd have to answer over and over again, the bots will take that off your hands.
I wonder if the popularity of bots has more to do with people having a preference of interacting with technology versus sort of passively reading something. I was listening to a podcast recently called Wondery, and they did a whole series on artificial intelligence and the history of it and how it developed and where it's going. And part of it was a psychological aspect of people interacting with technology and feeling like they have a connection, have a relational connection. So I wonder if maybe, even as simple as these bots are, if people prefer to have this interaction rather than simply reading something on a website. They're like, oh, I'm getting information, but I'm having a conversation, or I'm connecting in some way with this technology.
I think that's definitely a part of it at this point. Houses are becoming more and more automated with Alexa and Google My Home.
Homes, yeah.
Even Apple's gotten into the game as far as you can control everything in your house based on just using the app.
Yeah, and some people might kind of push back on the chatbot thing, saying, why would someone want to talk to a bot to learn about my business? I think at the end of the day, it's going to be a human conversation that has to take place. But I think what happens is, number one, like Justin was saying, people want that connection instantly. And then number two, people are already talking to bots. We talk to our phones on a daily basis.
Yep, exactly.
Siri, what is this? Siri, do this, blah, blah, blah.
Siri, open the front door.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Dave, I can't do that. Yeah.
Alicia's going to go, what?
That's from a movie.
Yes.
Very good. Very good,
Now
Alicia.
you get extra points if you know what movie it was.
I don't, but it's like one of those Back to Future movies or something
Close.
like that.
2001.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Space Odyssey.
Which actually was released in, I think, 1967.
Yeah, it was way...
Oh.
Yeah.
So like in 1967, that movie was like far out there.
Oh, yeah.
And now it's like the norm.
And
You can
now-
unlock your door from your phone.
Well, I mean, it's amazing how much some of those...
Yeah.
It's amazing how much of some of those old science fiction shows, like Star Trek, was known for being the precursor to a lot of things. Like some people say that the communicators that they had are basically
Cell
what we
phone.
carry now.
Yeah.
The smartphones we have now. Yeah.
Smartphones or the tricorders. There's actually a company out there right now, not to get too far off track, but is actually working on a medical tricorder like they had in Star Trek.
They can just scan
scan
somebody and give you vitals. I mean, people have things on their wrist now that tell them their heart rate and how many steps they took, and we're not that far off.
No, not at all.
We're not that far off. All right.
I can't remember what I saw. I don't want to go too far on a tangent, but it was like
Too late.
in the 90s, they told you not to meet strangers from online, get into cars with strangers, or I forget the last
I think
one.
I was talking about, but now we're doing all those
We're
things.
ordering strangers off the internet to pick us up in their cars, which is Uber.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, pretty much. And sometimes they have candy, and you're not supposed to take candy from strangers
take any
either.
candy.
But I mean, bottles of water, candy,
Yeah,
snacks.
I need that
you know.
5-star rating on Uber, Justin. Duh. They have like the plug for your phone.
Nice,
But yeah,
nice.
so
All right, so bots is one of the trends.
Google My Business and bots. Is there anything else you're looking at? Is it third?
last one. And then sorry, before I go to the last one, have you guys seen the Google Voice?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
where
Yeah.
well, it's the Google Assistant voice.
Oh, not that. No, I thought you were talking about like the Google Voice as far as like the
The home.
voicemail.
Yeah.
the home voice, right?
Oh, I'm messing up the name. I'm sorry. Google Assistant is what I want to say.
Oh, Google.
So-
No.
That's a new one to me. I'm not
Okay,
sure
I'm
about
going to post a link to this in the podcast notes, guys. We'll watch it. It's so cool. So you can tell your phone or you can tell Google, I want to make a hair appointment on like Wednesday at 11. And Google will actually call the salon for you. And there's a YouTube video of Google calling the salon. It sounds like a person making this hair appointment.
Wow. That's
So in
crazy.
the future, bots can be talking to bots because what if that salon was set up to take reservations through its bot? And like, seriously.
I'm waiting for the day that they come and start arguing with one another.
So,
So you have a bot calling a business, talking to another bot at the business, and if the first bot doesn't like the service they receive, they can talk to a customer service bot,
Yes.
which would then
And then they can work their way up the line to advanced care through the service bot.
Right.
Yeah.
right.
so
So we'll never have to do anything.
I for one welcome our new digital overlords.
So the chatbot you can employ or implement for your business rather is pretty simple, but at least you're on point with that trend. The last one is social media stories. And just real quick, I'm sure everybody's seen them in their feed, but Facebook stories, Instagram stories, and Snapchat all fall into that bucket. And
I'm just starting to learn those.
they're use them. That's really my basic advice for it. And if you don't know how to use them, ask for a marketing agency to consult you on that.
Why do I see another podcast in the future for us where we're going to have to go in and explain how to do stories? Because it's not total. For somebody like me, it's not intuitive. You know, you're looking at it going, how do I put this together? How do I add to the story? So on and so forth. So it's,
I won't go into like the technical elements, but I mean, I think the general concept is like people want to be connected to businesses and like see behind the scenes.
yeah.
So
Yeah, it's that whole authentic experience thing again.
Correct.
You know?
Yep. Justin, what are you seeing
Take
for
the
trends?
floor.
Design trends in 2019.
All right. Well, one of these is purely design, and the other two are sort of design related. The first one has to do with web design. So this trend isn't new, but I think it's going to continue into 2019. It's only going to continue to get stronger, and that is the use of custom illustration in websites. So there's been a lot of major companies that have redone their websites and have included illustration instead of stock photos or some other sort of visual. And one of them was MailChimp. MailChimp just went through a huge redesign. They refreshed their logo, they redid their website, and they came up with a whole new design system, including colors, fonts, and illustrations. Now, the custom illustrations that they produced had a specific purpose in their branding and their marketing. And a quote from their not press release, but their blog post that they put up said, "Our new illustration styles allow us to communicate about complex tools and marketing practices in a simpler and more human way." So you have this real abstract thing that MailChimp does, right?
Yep.
And they've actually expanded their services. They've really gotten into marketing now. And so like, well, how do we get this across to somebody, and how do we take a real complex topic and make it accessible? And they came up with these custom illustrations as a way of sort of drawing somebody in. It's an aspect of storytelling in a way. Toggle has recently redone their website with these really cool 3D illustrations, and we'll make sure to put all these links in the show notes. Yeah, I was gonna say
visuals would be really cool to see.
And again, Toggle's time tracking tool, and you're talking about time tracking, it's a deadly boring subject, but they've used these illustrations to create a very playful atmosphere on their website. And then lastly, Airbnb just did the same thing. They updated their brand and created custom illustrations. And their purpose for that was to not just update their brand, but to make their brand consistent across all channels of their marketing, and also create a message of inclusion. So they have very specific illustrations that they wanted people to know that Airbnb wasn't just for a very specific slice of the population. So a lot of their illustrations include people of color or people with disabilities, and it's a way of telling their story through these custom illustrations to let people know we're much more inclusive than you think we are.
Wow, that's cool.
So I think you're going to see more of that. And of course, MailChimp and Toggle and Airbnb, these are big players in the market, but there's no reason why small businesses can't do something similar. And if they have something that is complex or difficult for people to grasp right away, they can use illustration to brand themselves, explain complex ideas, or simply tell a story about themselves that is easier to tell in an image than it is in written form.
Right. So you're telling me this, and I'm like, I have no idea how I would do that for my business. But I'm like, wow, that sounds cool. And then you're like, you can do this too. And I'm like, but how? So working with a designer, they could get this done for you? Yeah.
I mean, there's a couple different ways to do this. So there are stock illustration sources, much like there are stock photo sources. And if your budget is really low or non-existent, you can kind of get by with some stock illustrations. Oftentimes, if you go on these stock illustration sites, they'll have each illustration will be assigned to a particular illustrator. So if you click on that illustrator's homepage, you can see all of the illustrations that they've done. So if you need a series of illustrations, like 3 or 4, you can source them from the same illustrator, but they're stock, so they're not going to cost you the same as if you commissioned a custom piece. The other alternative is to work with an illustrator. Okay. And you can find, access to illustrators online, or you can contact a local art school, something like RISD, or even Johnson & Wales has a graphic design program. And hire someone for not a whole lot of money to do a series of illustrations. And the nice thing about custom illustrations is you can fit it to your brand, and you can fit it to your marketing as opposed to using a stock. But I'm seeing this as a trend that has already been going on, and it's going to continue into 2019 because it is a really good way to distinguish yourself from the competition.
Yeah.
So that's custom illustration. The other two that I have, the first one is apps. So an increase in app development has happened as the rise in mobile devices has occurred. So mobile phone usage is projected to hit 4.68 billion in 2019. So there's 8 billion people on the earth. So more than half of them are using smartphones and mobile devices. So app development has grown as mobile device use has grown. Yep. So a lot of the websites that you would normally access, you're now accessing that same data through an app. You're
like
accessing
Grubhub.
Exactly.
It gives us coupons that we don't use to use the app instead of ordering online.
Yes. But a lot of companies are pushing people to their apps instead of to their websites.
Sure.
Because you can do a lot more with an app, and it's faster than waiting for a website to load in your browser.
Sure. Right. I wonder if using your phone too allows like the company to collect data on you more so than online. I don't know.
I would imagine it's a combination.
Yeah. Certainly you can allow them to do push notifications to you. As far as collecting data, I didn't do a lot of research into that. I would imagine, though, that there's a certain amount of data collection that goes on. I don't know if it's at the same level as a website
I would argue it's probably more. Because a lot of times when you sign up for these apps, you're giving them all the information: your age, your location, your date, you're not necessarily date of birth, but your name, your phone number, your email.
Well, there's certainly tracking data that you provide to them, but I don't know about data collection beyond that. Like, are they looking at your phone usage? Are they looking at,
I would guess it would probably depend on the app, what they're trying, what specifically.
Because Google Maps knows where you go.
Yeah. Right.
And that's an app.
Yeah, definitely a lot of these tie into geolocation,
I mean, and it's no different than you go and search on something on Amazon and all of a sudden you see ads everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I think I was on an app the other day for, I forget what it was, but I had just come off of Amazon, and the exact same thing that I had been looking at was on the app. So it's all.
I clicked on a shoe ad the other day on Facebook. Yeah. Big mistake. I've got nothing but shoe ads.
Well, the interesting part is my daughters are attached to our Amazon account, so when they're looking at like Harry Potter, all of a sudden, all I see is Harry Potter for like a week.
Yeah, my whole family uses the one Amazon Prime account, and I'm getting recommendations for things that...
Like dresses?
Yeah, that I would really not have a use for. But so app usage and app development will be increasing in 2019. I mean, again, it goes back to the interactivity thing we were talking about. Much more interactive.
Convenience.
Very convenience. Artificial intelligence is going to play a role in that. In app development in 2019, and augmented reality as well.
That's actually...
We recently talked with Lev Poplow, who developed an app for the local Holocaust Museum, and he's talked to us about possibility of augmented reality as a second stage.
And so I think you're going to see a lot of that come out in 2019, 2020. It's going to really...
I mean, they already have it now where you can, download an app and point it at a wine bottle or a beer bottle, and the label comes alive.
Well, you and I were away this weekend, and we were on a camping trip, and somebody was talking about the stars, and they pulled up an app and aimed it in the sky, and it showed you exactly where the stars were.
I had a Wayfair is like an online furniture store, and I pointed it at a corner in my living room. I was looking for a chair, and you could place the chair in the corner. I'll share the picture with you.
So it's pretty cool. We're at the beginning stages of augmented reality, really starting to kick on.
Yeah, and we'll link Lev's story because I think that's a really interesting point about how a local company or organization rather is planning on using AR in their marketing.
Well, I was recently down in New York City at the 9/11 museum, and they have an app, so I downloaded it. And as you walk through the museum, there's different points, and you can pull up an audio file narrated by Robert De Niro, and listen to him tell you about that particular exhibit and give you a little bit of backstory on it. So, that's a very simple form of augmented reality, but it's, you're adding to the story, you're adding to the brand, so apps definitely are going to continue to increase in 2019. And lastly, a little bit self-referential, but podcasting.
Yes, I would agree with you.
Are we on the cutting edge, guys?
We are on the
cutting edge.
Oh, I don't know. Some cliches.
No. Cutting edge works too.
Podcasting is the new radio.
Absolutely.
So in 2018, 6 million more Americans listened to podcasts weekly versus in 2017. So 48 million people total, which is up 6 million from 2017, okay? So you think about that in context, okay? It's a lot of listeners. So if you think in comparison, approximately 20 million people watch NFL Sunday Night Football, okay, which is one of the highest rated programs on TV, compared to 48 million people listening to podcasts, right?
I love it because I think podcasts allow users to personalize their experience. We're no longer like, these are the stations you must listen to. This is the information that's available. We can source what we're interested in. We can curate our own type of podcast. In new cars, so my boyfriend just leased a new car, and it has the podcast app right there in the car, so you can just stream your podcast. So he's probably listening to this podcast every day.
He better be, otherwise we'll have to get
not just his fantasy football.
But you're absolutely right. It's radio customized for your own personal preferences, and you can find anything. Any subject, any topic out there. So according to Nielsen, 50% of all U.S. homes are podcast fans. Now, let me ask you this. This is statistics for 2018, okay? How many active podcast shows do you think are on Apple iTunes
I would say north of 1 million.
I was going to say a few million, 2 or 3.
You guys are a little high.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
What is
525,000 active shows.
Nice. We made it in under 1 million.
Sweet. We made it. We are cutting edge.
I was one of the first. I was under 1 million in Facebook users too.
So there you go.
It started
You're a
out here.
trendsetter is what you are.
Yes.
Now here's another interesting statistic about podcasts. How many different shows per week do you think an average podcast listener listens to?
I would
4.5.
I would have said 3 to 5. So yeah, I'm
Gotta add that.
Now you're a little low.
Oh man, we just all over the place here. What
7.
7, really?
Okay, so it's saying that the average podcast listener is pretty dedicated.
On a daily basis, basically.
Consuming
7
a lot.
different shows, and that's up from 5 in 2017.
Apparently, I'm behind the curve on that one. I don't listen to that many.
I have more podcasts
lined up,
sort of lined up than I actually listen
That's like
to.
me. Yeah, it's like,
and it kind of depends on like how much time I have.
I open up my Apple Podcast app and everything starts downloading, and I'm like, oh man, I'm going to fill my phone up.
Most of mine have timed out because they're like, you haven't listened to this in a while. So
yeah, exactly.
So yeah, podcasting is going to be continue to rise.
I agree.
And why is it in my trends? Well, because podcasting is another way to brand yourself.
Absolutely.
Okay, it's another way to get your message out there. It's another way to market yourself. So, design, podcasts are affected by design just as much as print media, just as much as web design.
Sure.
There's a whole aspect to marketing it, and you need to make it accessible, and you need to make it attractive, and you have to distinguish yourself from your competition.
Yeah. I think personalization is just key with podcasting.
Absolutely.
When you can find something that your audience is interested in, just really hone in on that niche or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So those are my trends.
Okay, well, my 3 are...
what's happening in your world,
in
Bill?
my world, yeah. Well, actually, one of them is going to steal a little bit from Justin's, is the augmented reality. We'll start with that one first. In the photography/videography field, augmented reality is going to start taking off. I see it taking off primarily... It's something that's been around for a while, but primarily in real estate. There is a system that is very expensive, which is an augmented reality. Basically, you can do a 3D walkthrough of a house. But the prices are coming down now on those type of cameras that will do that augmented reality. So now you'll be able to, from 1,000 miles away, do a walkthrough of a house and see exactly what it looks like. So it's going to be apps. There'll be all kinds of things coming out, I think, this year. And probably MLS will probably do that, too.
I'm sure Zillow is going to be all over.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. And because the prices come way down.
It's beyond the real estate world, because Google now offers like the 360. You can add a walkthrough of a business.
I see it happening with that too. This may be, I think this may be more in 2020, 2021, but it's been on the radar of retail companies for a while. Matter of fact, many years ago, I worked for a large stationery company, and they were working with Google to have store walkthroughs. So you could basically say, I'm looking for paper clips. And it would show you on the app how to walk to the right aisle in the store based on the store you were in.
Yeah.
So because some of their stores are different from, not all stores are exactly set up the same. So it may be an aisle 1 in one store and aisle 5 in another store. Yeah. But based on geolocations, they're able to tell you exactly where everything is. So it's really cool stuff.
Well, we don't want to expose them, but it does rhyme with Naples.
It did go by the wayside. But I think you'll see that come back soon.
Well, think about businesses like, say you're looking for a venue for your wedding, or you're thinking about booking an appointment at a salon, and you want to see, what does it look like? Is it relaxing to get my massage here? And
or does it look like it's something that's in the middle of
someone's basement?
Yeah, basically.
Right.
So I think these are important, and people want to see the inside kind of look.
Yeah, I think, like I said, I really think the augmented reality is going to take off in all aspects of life as we know it. But I think the reality is video is going to come more into play in that too. Mm-hmm. You may be able to go into a room and see, sort of like we were talking about, you were just talking a little while ago about Lev Poplov. I can never say his last name right. But you could go into a room on the app and have a video play within the app. Mm-hmm. That's all part of the whole augmented reality thing.
I wonder how far we are from the Star Trek holodeck.
Probably not far. They're already working on holograms. Not that that's not one of my trends this year, but
Yeah.
they are working on that.
Just curious. You know?
So instead of podcast streaming us, soon you'll be able to have
Holograph streaming.
holocast of us.
Yeah.
Hologram
cast? Holocast. We'll call it
A
holocast.
holocast. Yeah.
That's probably no. Okay. Anyway.
Anyway, yeah, you don't know these things until you say them out loud, right?
Yeah.
No, but I was,
cut
yeah,
that
I mean,
out.
instead of just listening to us on your, on your mobile device,
holoquarter.
We'll be right in your living room. We'll be standing right there
Yes,
doing
you
our
can-
podcast.
Scary. Okay, so anyway, that was trend number one. Let's get off of that trend before we get too far
Yeah.
into things.
What's another one?
Trend number two is actually video. It's something that I've been talking about for almost the better part of the last year now. Statistics are showing that over 80% of all media consumed on the internet by the end of next year will be video.
Yeah. I
So-
honestly have to say, if there's one thing businesses need to jump on, like if
It's
you
video.
really had to pick, call Bill to get your videos done. It's just so important.
I mean, video is taking off. People aren't even looking at photos anymore. It's sad to say. I'm not saying I'm not going to be the one that calls the end of all photography. That's
well, it's still, it has
that's
its
not
place.
the case. Yeah,
You need it on your website. You can't have just video, but
Sure.
the way people interact and the way they want to learn is that's
and it's got to be quick bursts. It's becoming the short attention span theater, basically. People spend 25 to 30 seconds, probably max, maybe a minute.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're talking about a piece of marketing, I can see, you want to keep it under a minute because there's different formats.
Yeah,
If I'm watching an educational video or a how-to video, I don't care if it's 10, 15 minutes.
I mean, if you're watching a TEDx or something like that, you expect
Yeah.
it to be longer. But if
but
you're
I
looking
think for marketing purposes,
A minute to-
shorter's better.
a couple of minutes tops. If you're going over a minute and a half, you've already started to lose people that are going to listen.
Yeah. Although I have to say, I did watch
Excuse me.
the entire thing that you posted about the little backpacks that convert into a
Oh yeah, I
a
saw that
hoodie.
too. Yeah, that was pretty cool.
that video
was
was,
it?
really
Cub
good.
coats?
It was cool.
Cub coats.
Cubby coats,
So do
yeah.
you guys know what the squatty potty is?
Yeah.
Okay, so the Harmon brothers were behind that.
And the same
they're-
company?
I'm feeling like it might be, or a Harmon brothers.
So
It was very funny. I watched the
and-
whole thing.
And
It was
video,
good, yeah. It was
video,
good
video is it, man.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think along with that, video from unique sources is also a bigger part of that. A part of that same trend, drone video. That's blowing up. I mean, more and more times a day you're seeing it. If you watch TV for longer than 5 minutes nowadays, you'll see at least one drone shot.
Yeah.
It's not going to be that far in the future where you're just going to see people walking around with personal drones like GoPros that are just going to hover around their head all day and record everything.
They tried that. I think it's still a ways off. There was a company, I think it's Unique, I forget the name of the company, that actually made a personal selfie drone, they called it.
Right.
Gosh.
That was basically, it would attach to your phone, and it would follow the coordinates based on your phone wherever you went. Mm-hmm. It crashed. No, not crashed.
Literally?
No. It actually, people didn't buy it for that reason.
Oh, okay.
You walk into the building and then it just doesn't make it through the door.
Not quite that way, no. But I think the personal selfie drones are still a little ways off yet. I'm not saying they're not going to happen. I'm not sure they can happen. As of right now, there's not one in production that I know of that is still in production.
Mm-hmm.
So
video.
video.
Augmented reality.
Augmented reality.
What's your third one?
The third one is going to be hybrid video.
What is it?
What does that mean?
Hybrid video, yeah.
Hybrid.
Hybrid,
Okay.
like a hybrid car, hybrid video.
You gotcha.
Hybrid video is something that's been around also for a while. Most people would recognize hybrid video where you have a combination of photography and videography added in. So it's not just the straight video. You'll flash to a photo and then back to video, then to a photo, or so on and so forth. But what I'm predicting also is along the lines of what you were talking about a little while ago is the illustrated videos. Have you ever seen the explainer videos?
Yeah.
Yes.
Those are starting to take off again. I think those are going to be a trend in 2019, but I think they're also going to add actual real video along with it. So it's going to be a combination of the two.
Yeah. I mean, animated explainer videos are, very, very popular. And again, for the same reason, they're very accessible.
Yes.
And they can help explain very complex ideas very simply.
Yeah, I'm so much bought into that. I think that those animated videos are going to come back into style along with a hybrid of regular straight video and photography that I'm actually starting to learn how to do the animated stuff.
Which
so I'm
is
going to add it to
something
it.
like Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm seeing. Seriously.
Wow, that would be awesome.
I can't
I don't have any stats to back it up, but I just think that's going to be the next trend is where you're going to be able to see that.
Just based on what you've been seeing.
But yeah, and like I said, I see enough of it to make me think I'm going out. I actually went out and got the software the other day through Adobe to start learning how to do that animation end of it, so that I can add it into my repertoire.
Yeah, we're always learning in our, I love what we do in the marketing realm, but we're always learning because things change. Like marketing years is not the same as typical years. Like things change so fast.
To go back to the animated thing, it's not necessarily just cartoon characters either. It's not like
no.
It may be a logo that pops in an animated form, or it may be. We were talking. Alicia and I were talking with a client the other day about an older video that they had done, where it was a live video, but they had this animated action of a baseball being hit, home plate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'm sitting here like
she's looking at me like I don't remember this one. Yeah, the restaurant's name was Home Plate Restaurant, and they had this thing where they had the owner swinging a real bat, but they actually had an animated baseball that came towards its screen.
Yeah, because it could be a really long video shoot if you were waiting for people to hit. Anyway, for me,
that'd be ducking.
Like a half a day for me to hit the ball.
But I think I see more of that happening too. I think. As corny as it may seem, I think that's still around.
Well, I think a lot of the things we've been talking about have become trends or are going to be trending because the cost to do these things has come way, way down. Technology has advanced and allowed us to do things cheaply that, 5 years ago it would have, you'd have had to have professional level equipment and,
an animation studio. You'd have to hire how many illustrators would you need to do some of the stuff that we do nowadays that can be done in 5 minutes?
Yeah. It's been democratized in a lot of ways, and costs of these things have come way down so that small business owners can now have access to things that they've never had access to before. But all right, so we talked about 9 different trends.
It's a lot, yeah.
It is a lot.
Coming up in 2019.
There's more. I think, but we picked
we could do a 3-hour podcast on this if we wanted to.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think overall, if you want to kind of implement these trends into your marketing and you're at a loss because we didn't really get into the technicalities, you can contact us.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Or
we
hire
welcome
us.
that. Yes.
What a novel idea.
I know what I was getting at.
I'll just say it right out loud. I'll speak about that elephant in the room.
It's one thing to know about all of these things, but then, most small business owners, they're focused on running their business.
Yeah.
Right.
So they listen to the podcast and they go, great, these are all the trends. How do I know what to use? Right? So
it may be different for each one.
Exactly. Yeah. So, this is where it's beneficial to sit down with a professional like one of us and say, okay, what would work best for my business? And should I be doing? You said everybody should be doing video, but what kind of video?
Yeah.
What kind of video would make the most sense for a small business owner? Because it's going to be different for, I think, every situation.
Sure.
Yeah,
you're not going to use an animated video for a lawyer's office.
No.
Well, actually, I shouldn't say that. I've seen something in mind.
A funeral home would not use an
animated
video. That's
What would the mascot be for that?
A little animated coffin. I don't know.
It's horrible.
Okay. We always have to go south on these things.
Like the Grim Reaper.
That's horrible.
Come on down to Crazy Eddie's funeral home. I don't know.
Our prices are insane.
I bet you they would get a lot of business because that's different.
Funeral home offers free Wi-Fi. Got a barista.
Free Wi-Fi for what?
I don't know why you're. Well, have you ever been to a wake? You just sit there, so it's like
you're supposed to be paying respects.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
Trust me, people are on their phones. Okay.
Yep.
I'm with Alicia though. So it's kind of tacky to be on your phone in a.
Well, yeah, absolutely, but people do it.
This is true. Then it's also tacky to be on your phone in a.
Movie what if it was like augmented reality in the funeral home? Like you
come to life.
You could point your phone at the casket and
see all pictures.
Something would happen.
No, actually, you may be onto something.
Oh,
you know how they do the
photo boards?
Yeah, now they do TV screens where you can have the photos that'll go on a slideshow loop.
Okay,
but imagine being able to put the phone up to a certain point, not necessarily the coffin. That's kind of maybe a little bit macabre. But
at a photo, and there's augmented reality involved.
They've already. I know.
Yeah, like the wine bottles.
I know people have said that the QR codes are a waste of time and they're going nowhere. But I'm telling you, I think those are going to be the next thing that are going to add back to.
I think the QR codes have probably evolved into augmented reality. So
exactly. Like the 13 Crimes wine bottle. Yeah. You point at the wine bottle, and then the people pop out on your phone, right?
Yeah.
So what you mean?
Yeah.
So going back to the
So you
so what we were just saying as far as
Pointed at the casket. And
no, but you could
guy's
have
like,
you could they have the
I
little,
didn't die of natural causes.
wow the little
Check the wine. Check the wine.
the little prayer.
You owe me money.
Sorry.
I'm going to be doing a lot of editing on this one.
We are going to hell.
But the little cards that they give out, the memorial cards, you could put a QR code on the back of it, and it could show a slideshow that you could take home with you.
Now that would be nice. That would be nice.
Wow,
See, I'm
Bill.
coming up with this new stuff.
Don't put that in the podcast. You got to patent that.
I got to patent that one. Actually, that's probably. Wow, I'm going to have to think about that one again.
Anyway, I think we need to wrap this episode up.
We're at like 40 minutes, but that's okay. We'll be okay. So, shameless plug time.
Join us on Facebook. You can find us at Marketing Essentials. Just search that on Facebook.
And we also have a Facebook group for small business owners and marketers called Little Roadie Marketing Support Group. And it's a great place to go and ask questions and get information about how to market your business better. So if you go to Little Roadie Marketing Group on Facebook, you can request to join, and you can be one of over 120 members.
And if Felicia lets you in.
And growing.
If Felicia lets you in.
And growing.
And Bill, how can you find us?
And also, if you like what you hear here, we have two options for you to be able to hear our podcast on a regular basis. One would be go to the marketingessentialsteam.com website, and there you will find a tab where you can subscribe to our podcast. If you subscribe to our podcast there, you will also get a weekly email that will give you some hidden extras that only subscribers get.
Nice.
And also, if you're one of those people that likes to listen to podcasts in your vehicle when you're going someplace, we are also available on Apple Podcasts. Just look for the Marketing Essentials team there.
Yep.
With that, I think that's all we've got for today.
Yeah, time to wrap this one up.
Wrap it up. Say goodnight, Gracie.
Good night.
You guys.
Good night. See you guys.
Bye.